From the Rhino Studios in Granban, Ontario. This is Beyond the Reach. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the Beyond the Reach podcast, the podcast where cyber secrets are no longer secret. I'm Dan Durand, your cyber guide in the digital jungle, joined by the man who knows business leadership inside out, Andrew Somerton.
Hey, Dan. Hey, everybody. So excited to be here.
Our very own CEO extraordinaire.
Oh, we appreciate it. I appreciate it, my friend. You know what? I'm so excited. 2024, our first podcast of the year. Really excited to just kind of, talk about what's happening out there and just kind of, go over a few things, just have some fun with this. Very light and airy, and just hopefully we shed a little bit of light on some things that people can have some great takeaways.
Absolutely. We have some people saying hi, Aura, Rosana, Calle Castrillon. That's a really long name, Aura, but hi, hello.
Hi, Aura.
And then Diego says, hello, fellas. Hello, fellas. Hello to you too, Diego Macastrillon. Hey, Andrew, so you were telling me that you were looking for jokes. Did you have anything?
You know what? I'm absolutely going to share some, as an older guy, I've been very blessed with kids. So I you have to have dad jokes. So you always have to have them prepared. So you know what? I'll start off one really quickly and I'll share some throughout the podcast as people are joining us. But okay, so why was the laptop cold? Okay, let me repeat that. Why was the laptop cold?
Why was the laptop cold? I don't know. Why?
Because it left its windows open.
Ah. all right. Okay, this is so funny. Okay, enough already. Enough.
Technical difficulties, Dan?
No, it's just these people, man. They're annoying. Anyway, yeah, funny enough, I was looking for material for the show, right? So, and this is the first show of the season, so I'm super excited to be here. And I'll tell you, we're looking for a name too, but we'll get into that. So, I was looking for material for the show, so I went into ChatGPT, right? So, I'm going to show you kind of my screen and talking about jokes and being like really lame. I started looking for a content and stuff like that on ChatGPT, and this is the script that it gave me. We're kicking things off with cyber threat landscape. Remember when computer viruses were as harmless as a sneeze? Well, now they're more like a full-blown flu epidemic. I was like, what the heck? And then you were supposed to say a flu shot won't save you from these viruses, folks.
Hey, well, we don't have to ad lib with this. We can let's just read this script. It'll be perfect. I love it. Let's go. A flu shot
really?
won't save you.
It's lame. What are you talking about?
You know what? It's funny. ChatGPT is, it's a fantastic tool, but you have so much fun with it. And it's funny though, but you need to be, or at least read through it. Like, don't just trust it.
Hey, we have SE Cyber Safe on the house. Hello. Hey guys, he says. Hello to you too. I hope you're doing fantastic. Thank you for joining.
Absolutely.
All right, so hey,
Dan, I'm going to cut you off there for a second, but I don't see the comments. Are you keeping them private and just sharing what you see? I don't see them on our screen. I used to see them.
No,
you have them?
Okay. They're right there. I don't know why you see them, but they're actually right there. I can see them in front of me. Yeah.
There we are. Sorry, I had something in front of me. Excuse me. My technical difficulties. My password that's on my screen, I actually was covering the chat. Yeah. I'm totally joking.
Okay. Oh, you were joking.
No, I didn't see it. I had a piece of paper over there, but it wasn't my password.
I was going to say. All right. Okay. This is getting way out of control, guys. All right. So we have a segment called In the News. Okay. I'm going to share some of the news with you. Right. So, and it's going to be kind of like the first 4 news that we have for this week. Some stuff is going on and I don't know what's going on. So here, let's listen to it.
Jira down. Atlassian outage affecting multiple cloud services. Multiple Atlassian Jira products are experiencing an ongoing outage as of this morning. Users of Jira Work Management, Jira Software, Jira Service Management, and Jira Product Discovery are facing connection issues. We are investigating an issue with outage that is impacting Jira Work Management, Jira Software, Jira Service Management, and Jira Product Discovery. We will provide more details within the next hour, states the company's product status page.
Yeah, so this happened yesterday morning, and still I think it's going on. I don't know, man, but it smells a little fishy, don't you think? Yeah. So there you go. I was looking for that. So basically it's going like Jira is this huge company, and they supply project management tools, Confluence, Jira, Atlassian. That's the name of the company, and it's down, and people don't know what's going on. Come on, Jira. Come on, Atlassian. What's going on? And they think it might be something in the lines of a cyber attack. I
We don't
had
want to. We don't
no
want to put anything out there. We don't know for sure, but
it
like,
might be something going on. They're still down, and this massive company. And you know what? It could be just anything, right? It could
could
be
be
a
absolutely.
configuration. Maybe one of the engineers, their software engineers, was a little tipsy and stuff, and
Don't
did
say
something
that.
they shouldn't they shouldn't do. But yeah, so this is the first new what's going on in there. Let's go to the second news, and this is kind of interesting here, and we all know.
TeamViewer abused to breach networks in new ransomware attacks. Ransomware actors are again using TeamViewer to gain initial access to organization endpoints and attempt to deploy encryptors based on the leaked Lockbit ransomware builder. TeamViewer is a legitimate remote access tool used extensively in the enterprise world, valued for its simplicity and capabilities. Unfortunately, the tool is also cherished by scammers and even ransomware actors who use it to gain access to remote desktops, dropping and executing malicious files unhindered.
Yeah, so TeamViewer. And this is interesting. And the reason I'm saying that is because part of our MDR, our managed detection and response, we see a lot of these type of connections, like
Absolutely.
remote desktop connections from any desk. Log me in. We see TeamViewer as well. And TeamViewer, I just don't like them. I don't like these remote clients and stuff, especially the ones that are on the browser because they're harder to detect. But the thing is that if you should not be running TeamViewer or any of these like user driven remote desktop connections, because the thing is that the users, they download it, and then they can give them the ID and password to anybody in the world, and they can actually connect to their computer and do some really bad stuff, like download malware into the computer and then run those malwares and gain access to your computers and your network. So TeamViewer, no, no. Oh, so what do you think about this, Andrew?
Oh no.
There
Yeah,
you
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you have to be extra careful. I mean, obviously, there's a multitude of tools out there that companies are using, more cost-effective or easy access or easy to use type of services. But again, they have to be very proactive with their cybersecurity culture and their infrastructure, and they have to be putting the proper measures in place. And clearly, based on what you were just saying, you're not a fan of TeamViewer for sure, but again, a lot of people are out there using it. And it's really about making sure that you're being protected and secured, and looking at what's happening and the tools you're implementing in your network and what you're using as individuals.
Absolutely. So if you have any questions or any comments, make sure you put them on the chat, and then we'll display them for you. Especially the questions, we have a Q&A section at the very end of this show, so make sure you post them. We'll talk about them. Okay, let's go to the next piece of news.
Before you go to that, Dan, let's just jump in. We got a whole bunch of people saying hi, which is really kind of nice. I love the interaction. This show is about you, the audience, and making sure that you interact with us and you share your insights, your thoughts. So we love to see everybody. So Eduardo, hello guys. I see we already said Diego, Adrian, Sonia. Excuse me if I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Monchez.
Monchez. Hi.
Yes.
Welcome, Adrian. So everybody, so nice to see you. We're really happy. Welcome to 2024 and the podcast. Like, we have a question here too, Dan.
Yes. So basically, it's a comment. It's from
Yes.
SC Cyber Safe. He says, "Yeah, proactiveness is key, but I don't think it's going to be easy to get rid of TeamViewer, especially when it is needed for IT
IT,
purposes."
100%. Great point.
Yes, absolutely. But you know what? It's better to have like some sort of RMM, so a remote management and tool where you can have something like Splashtop, or it piggybacks on Splashtop top. And the main thing is like it needs to be IT driven. So what I mean by that is when the user clicks on it, it can connect only to the IT people, and the IT people can actually initiate a contact or a remote session with the user. The thing about TeamViewer is great, man, and I
For sure.
understand. I totally understand what SE CyberSafe
Cyberspace.
is coming from, because
Yep.
TeamViewer is a great tool.
So many people use it. There's no
So many
question.
people use it. Same with AnyDesk and all of those. They're great tools. The main problem is that there's two problems. The first one is that the user initiates the contact or the remote session by giving anybody in the world
Password and code.
access to it.
Yep.
So I just give you my ID, my password, and then anybody can log in, can remote in. And especially when you have a user that is not very savvy and doesn't have a cybersecurity awareness training, for example.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Dan. I think that's key. Like exactly what CyberSafe has said. And I was mentioning earlier, you have to be proactive. You have to educate your staff. So awareness is a huge part of that, right? So I mean,
Yes.
the more you're educated, the more protected you are. There's no question.
Exactly. Exactly. So you're saying, yeah, yeah, I get your point. Yeah, absolutely. So it has to be IT security driven, not user driven. So we have. I'm going to tell you a little story. We had a client who didn't have a cybersecurity awareness training, and he was looking for government software updates online, and he found this fake website. He clicked on it, went into it, and then it displayed a phone number to call. So this person from a company, from one of our clients, called the tech support, fake tech support,
Yeah.
and they told him to download TeamViewer. This person did download a TeamViewer and created a session with the hackers, and the hackers actually deploy a ransomware and other software inside of the computer. I mean, we alerted right away through our MDR. We raised an investigation, and then we're able to isolate the endpoint and all of that. But it was kind of crazy, right? So we want to avoid those kind of things. So
Absolutely.
if it is IT driven, it's better. Forget about TeamViewer, AnyDesk, and all of those remote desktops. Anyways, let's go back
And
to
the next one.
the next one. So here it is.
VMware confirms critical vCenter flaw now exploited in attacks. VMware has confirmed that a critical vCenter server remote code execution vulnerability patched in October is now under active exploitation. vCenter Server is a management platform for VMware vSphere, environments that helps administrators manage ESX and ESXi servers and virtual machines, VMs.
All right. So
VMware has confirmed that
Well,
exploitation of
it has more to say, Dan. It has more to say.
4048 has occurred in the wild, the company said in an
Turn that
update
guy
to
off.
the original advisory this week.
okay, all right, okay, sorry about that. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, vCenter is it's a critical part of any company, right? So if you're running different VMs, you have a data center, you have a VMware ESXi is very famous and it's very popular, but it is very important to patch your systems. Very important because we had people. And unfortunately, we're a cybersecurity company. We're first responders when it comes to cyber attacks, and companies come to us, and we had like last year, I think we had like, I mean, I don't know, four
I think, yeah,
instances where companies came to us because their VMware ESXi was hacked. And one of the investigations that we raised, and we actually were involved. One of the companies had 100, I think it was over 150 virtual machines on that ESXi that were ransomware. So it was crazy massive, right? So and then yeah, so make sure you patch your ESXi VMware appliances, your virtualizers, make sure they're all patched, right? So or you can get this as a consequence. And the worst part about this is that it is a 0-day exploit, right?
yeah.
So and it's open to the public, right? So basically it doesn't the hacker does not need to be inside of the network to be able to do this. So if your VMware ESXi, for example, is exposed to the public, and it has this vulnerability, hackers can easily bypass this.
Right.
Right. So that's pretty scary stuff, man. Pretty scary. Okay, let's go to the next one. This one is kind of important too, right? So, all right. So here we go.
CISA pushes federal agencies to patch Citrix RCE within a week. Today, CISA ordered U.S. federal agencies to secure their systems against 3 recently patched Citrix NetScaler and Google Chrome 0 days actively exploited in attacks, pushing for a Citrix RCE bug to be patched within a week. The
Yeah.
cybersecurity agency added the flaws to its known exploited vulnerabilities catalog today, saying that such vulnerabilities are frequent attack vectors for malicious cyber actors that pose significant risks to the federal enterprise.
Yeah. So, CISA is actually alerting the federal government and different agencies of the government in the United States of these Citrix NetScaler and the Google Chrome 0 days attacks. So, if they are alerting their own, right, the own government, this is really important for us, the mortals as well, right? Like the people inside of companies, enterprises, make sure that you patch if you have Citrix. I don't know, that's old school, man. Citrix. I don't know if there's anybody that uses Citrix Nextcaler now, but of course, Google Chrome. Google. Everybody uses Google Chrome, and they're coming out with a lot of attacks, right? So, um, and a lot of vulnerability, a lot of 0 day Google Chrome. It is experiencing, and they patch it all the time. We have here a question from one of our listeners or podcaster subscribers. How true is it that when they can use certain unimportant blocks within the code of an image to put a virus there, are we safe
And viewing the images.
with viewing the images? No, it's not. You're safe, yes, but the main reason why they do that, and I think is that's called steganography. I think that's the art of putting bits of code, and you can put a program, a small program, I guess. But you hide messages inside of pictures, and I think it's used for like, let's say, a country where the privacy is affected, like there's the government regime and stuff like that. It's not, it's doing like nasty things to the people, and you need to get the word out. You might put inside of a picture, you can actually add code or text, and then send it out, nobody notices, and then you can decrypt or decode that on the other side. So yeah, is it a problem with cybersecurity in itself? No, I don't think so. You can't run because it's not an executable, right? You can't execute an image. That's the thing. You can use it as a vector to indirectly to deploy some sort of malicious software, but then you have to get the code out, and then you have to do a lot of things in there. So I don't think it's
I think
used
you're okay.
for
Yeah.
criminals. All right, next one. Oh, and that's it.
That's the
That's it
last
for
one.
the news today. Yeah, that's the last one. Okay, we have any
Okay,
jokes?
on that note, because that was very serious stuff, and because what's in the news this week, we got to go to a joke again, just because I think it's important we have comic relief throughout this process, because there's learning. Everybody learns differently. You have some technical guys who really want to be just the meat and potatoes. They want to know exactly when it died down. The other people want to learn through experience. So here we go. Here's the quick one. Why don't computers like to be outside?
Because they get a cold. They get.
There,
Uh,
there
they
are too many bugs.
Ah,
I know. It's a dad joke. I hope everybody's laughing over there, laughing at us. It's okay.
yes. Okay, I don't know if we're going to continue with this segment here, but it's a little cringy. But okay, I buy it. I mean, that's okay. That's good. That's good. Good. Comic relief. It's important. And okay, so let's move on with the show. Thank you for Sonia. She's laughing. She's giving you some support.
Yeah, see, thanks, Sonia. I appreciate the support. Thank you, Diego, too. You know what?
Yeah.
It's okay. We have to, some of these jokes are kind of cute. So
Yes.
they're not too serious. I promise I won't make them any too serious. I only have a few more, so I'll share it throughout the podcast.
Okay, no, not a problem. Awesome. All right. So let me just go into my caption here. In the main topic of the day, right? So we're going to talk about negligence. This show is all about an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right?
So much,
And
so
that's kind of
important.
like the motto of today's episode. I mean, preventing fires is better than fighting them, right? uh,
100%. I mean, our whole business model is about being proactive, not reactive. Even though we take care of both ends, we see a lot better results from being a company being proactive than being reactive. There's no question. But we'll talk about that in greater detail.
Absolutely.
You're bang on that, Dan.
Absolutely. So we're going to give you the problem, and then we're going to give you the solution, right? And that's kind of like our show evolves around problem and solution. So some business owners think that cybersecurity breaches won't happen to them, and we're going to discover the three main reasons or excuses that business owners kind of plan in their heads for not taking care of cybersecurity. Right, so they think that the breaches won't happen to them. What do you think is the first one, with the first excuse?
I have an IT team in place, and we're protected.
No, that's not the first one, but it
No.
is one of them.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, is it okay? I'm just throwing it out there.
here it is. There you go.
Oh, yeah. You know what?
We
You're
were
bang. You're
talking
bang
about
on.
that. We
Yeah,
were talking
absolutely.
about that, right? So,
Yes.
yeah, you were saying that. Well, if it's a small company, maybe they don't need a cybersecurity and stuff like that. I mean, you didn't say that, but like you were saying that other people were telling you. Some of your friends. You're a CEO, so you mingle around with CEOs, I guess, and then
Well,
executives.
and I think that's it's so funny, and I know we're going to do what it is and the solution, but the reality of it is that those are what more of the smaller hackers are going after, because again, that's the mindset. The smaller and mid-sized businesses, even though the big huge conglomerates is what we hear about, the majority of the businesses that are being hacked are small to mid-sized businesses, and it can be catastrophic to that business. So I mean, the mindset is there, but you're right, that's what they say. We're too small, we're not worried about it, it's all good. And anyways, we'll talk about it as you give the solution, Dan. But yeah, it is definitely a big concern for people's mindset, and I think they're getting better, there's no question. um,
Yes.
Smaller companies, but it's still a big concern.
Yeah, there's a question from Diego in here. He asks, "Hey Dan, I have a question regarding the CISA told to the government. What they told to the government? Do cybersecurity agencies have something to do with governments?" Oh, absolutely, 100%. I don't know if I got that question right. I mean, if I understand the question, but yes, absolutely. So there's something called the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. That's CISA, right? And they put out a publication and an entire cybersecurity framework called the NIST, right? And they have to do a lot with cybersecurity, and what they are doing basically is telling the other government agencies to patch their systems and to do this type of work, right? So, and that of course it ripples out to enterprises that need to follow this advice as well.
Exactly. Anybody who deals with the government, they have certain criteria and things that they need to follow and adhere to. There's no question.
Exactly. All right. So our company is too small. Nope. You're never too small. Even if you're like flying solo in you're a one man show. Remember, there's always cybersecurity that you can like take care of, like patching your systems, making sure that you have 2-factor authentication, and like being aware of malware and phishing emails and things like that. It's super important. Even if you're a very small company, there always needs to be a budget for cybersecurity.
And I think, Dan, I think you hit the nail on the head with the budget. I think sometimes the perception is cybersecurity is going to cost a fortune to bring in a company, et cetera. I mean, cybersecurity is about mitigating risk, not completely eliminating, right? So every company size obviously needs and requires different type of services to help better protect them. So always remember, it's about mitigating risk, not totally eliminating it. No one will ever tell you that they're going to eliminate risk completely. If they do, they're lying to you. So don't be fooled by that. And if you go into an organization that says it's a cookie cutter price and that's all it is, that doesn't make sense either, because everybody's architecture, everybody's infrastructure, everybody's network is different. So whether you have 2 people or you have 200 people or 2,000 people, every single conversation, they're similar, they're jump off points, but they're very different when it comes to laying out a plan.
Wow, it's very nice.
All right, we have a comment here from Adrian Perez. He says, "Support Andrew for his comedy career."
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You know what? Didn't do it so much last year, but you know what? Part of interaction and having fun with your team, your audience is about having some fun jokes that are relative people can relate to. So I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm not sure if Dan does.
I
He's
don't,
very
I
he's
don't know,
very
man. I
technical,
don't
but
know. I think you should stick with what you do. Being a CEO for Rhino Cybersecurity and BYR Technologies, I think you're in the right spot, buddy.
all right. I'm not going to be performing at night tonight at Yuck Yucks. Okay, fair enough.
Okay, you killed me, man. Okay, all right. Let's go to the next one. So, excuse number 2. What do you think it is? And I think you said it already.
I was going to say, did I say it already? We have a team in place that I think we're pretty confident we're protected.
Yes. So it is. We're safe because we have an IT person. And I hear this all the time, right? Especially with small and medium-sized companies. They do have an IT person or IT company or an MSP, managed service provider. But is that real cybersecurity? I don't know. You tell me, man. We have instances where companies have gotten hacked, and it was because they, they got ransomware, and they did have IT in place. But the IT, that's not the role of IT to be, taking care of cybersecurity, right?
No, and I think as we evolve and technology evolves and IT and MSPs evolve, they do. There's no question. Cybersecurity is becoming much more a big part of their vision, but doesn't mean they necessarily have the skill set. They're learning, absolutely, and I'm sure they're smarter than they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, etc. There's a bit more of a connect. I'm not going to dispute that, but there's still a separation. Cybersecurity specialists and cybersecurity, experts and IT guys are still very different, and they should be collaborating and working together. And again, the nice thing about having an IT team is if you can, as a third-party cybersecurity company, assist them, it's much more cost-effective. You have better response time potentially, unless you give carte blanche to your cybersecurity team. Lots of things that help you as a small organization that does have an IT, but don't think they have all the answers, because I can promise you they don't, and they're looking for help, guidance, and assistance.
Yeah,
I promise you that.
We have a comment from Social Engineering Cyber Safe. I think that's what SC stands for. There's nothing like being safe or fully safe. Even with the cybersecurity professional, there's nothing like being safe. Right on the head, man. Absolutely. So,
100%.
so even when you have, okay, so there's something called cybersecurity maturity, right? And it starts from the very basic hygiene, cybersecurity hygiene, and it advances from there to mature cybersecurity systems. So there is this continuum, right? It never starts from 0 to 100. No, it's a marathon. Cybersecurity is a marathon. It's not a 100-meter sprint. That's what I tell people, and the thing is, like, even when you have cybersecurity people, you can have an entire team. Like, think about the Microsoft and Google and all the big companies, some of them which had gotten hacked. Why do they get hacked even though they have 100 cybersecurity professionals inside of the company? Well, the thing is, like, you're never safe. There's always something going on. There's so many wheels turning.
I always use the analogy, Dan, and you can, and I know you like that when I used to do that. But imagine you have a cannonball hole in the size of your network. I mean, it's huge, right? And then if you put all the right measures in place and you also about mitigating risk, you reduce it to a pin's hole. You're never going to close it completely. And then you're moving that pinhole around, even with 100 people. Someone can still eventually breach that, and then it's what systems you have in place to make sure that it's isolated in the event that does ever happen, right? So it is all about being safe, being proactive, having the right measures in place if the event ever does happen. So
absolutely.
You're absolutely.
100%.
We have another question in regards to the difference, because it's just on topic of what we were saying.
It's very really good question.
Yeah,
what are the regular functions of an IT person, and how do they differ from a cybersecurity specialist?
Great question.
Absolutely. So an IT person, it's he's there, she's there, to make sure that the company is always online, it's always working. It's more about the operational factor, right? So all the computers need to be running. There's no slowdowns. There is no bottlenecks on the network. Computers are working the way they're supposed to be, and kind of like that's the original mindset from like decades ago, right? How it started. But now, because of cyber warfare out there and this crazy world that we live in, IT personnel have to take into account all the cybersecurity problems that might be, right. So they started with that, keeping databases secure and backups and all of that stuff, and then moving into patching, moving into like all of these cybersecurity functions that they should do nowadays, right. So now the problem is that because they are like wearing so many
Time.
hats,
Exactly.
they
Time.
don't have time.
Exactly.
IT professionals don't have time. Imagine, they're always in the servers calls, calling customers, making sure that the VPN is working, making sure that the computers are up and running. The president of the company is.
New hires, people coming, people going.
It is absolutely insane for IT and I feel for them, man, because like it's usually okay, like 30 people, 50 people company, and then one
One or
IT
two.
professionals.
Exactly.
Okay, in the world of cybersecurity, right? So there is a lot of alerts that are coming in from the firewall, from the the appliances, from the the MDR that you might have, or network intrusion detection systems, and all of that. And you need to ingest all of these alerts and see what is a false positive, what is a true positive, right? And so the role of the cybersecurity specialist is to be able to a few things. I mean, they got to do a few things, but one of them is being able to do threat hunting and being able to say, yeah, this is an actual real vulnerability, a real malicious attempt, a scan or intrusion. I need to take care of it. But the IT professionals, they have their hands tied, and I see a lot of times they have these complex software pieces and that are shooting alerts all the time. They don't have the time
They
to
have time to do.
review 100 2,000 alerts in a day.
Exactly. Yeah. No, for sure.
So the cybersecurity specialist does that. And not only that, but the cybersecurity takes care of making sure that whenever there's configurations, like all of them are securely done, right? Like the backups are working. They have to make sure that, like the systems are patched, the dual factor authentication is. So the role of the cybersecurity is to kind of try to, see the systems out there, and try to get them to a secure place.
Implementing a regular and consistent cybersecurity hygiene is really important to help those IT guys. They're not out there pulling vulnerabilities and all that kind of stuff and identifying all the holes. And a cybersecurity team can do that for you as well. And then they provide that to the IT. He can go in and fix those holes. But unless he's doing that on a regular basis and you have that process in place, things are potentially going to be missed, right? And unfortunately, that's where problems come into play. So hopefully that answers your question.
A great question from Monches. Thank you so much. Appreciate all the questions, guys. You guys are amazing. We love you. Let's go to the next excuse. Number 3, excuse. And this is you're gonna go like, what? Are you serious? What do you think is the third excuse for not having cybersecurity in a company?
Okay, I don't want to go too long with guessing, but I'm going to guess. I have nothing to lose. There's nothing really. I'm not worried about losing anything that I have in my company. I don't know. Just guessing.
Close, but it is. We have cyber insurance.
I love that. I love that. I love it. It talks to that onion thing I was mentioning earlier, but I'll let you dive into a little deeper.
Yeah, how crazy is this? Oh yeah, I'm covered. So okay, so that's it's like you're driving your car and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna go crazy. I'm gonna speed. I'm going to be like road raging and all of that, and I don't care because I have auto car insurance. How silly is that?
Well, it's not only is it silly, it's naive because. So there's a couple criteria with cybersecurity insurance. So yeah, amazing that you have it. So kudos to any and all companies out there, and kudos to the insurance companies that are doing it. Everybody should. So first and foremost, I do love the idea that if I have it, that I'm protected. Okay, that's one step. It is one step of cybersecurity culture and hygiene. The problem is with insurance, every single year you're being reinvestigated and you're being relooked at to make sure that your cybersecurity infrastructure is hardened and you're doing all the right things. You're providing, and your team is fixing all the vulnerabilities, have all the right endpoint detections and firewalls and MDRs and everything that are in place that need to be in place, because it's getting harder and harder to get insurance. Yes. But more importantly than insurance and paying the X number of dollars for a ransom attack, It's the loss of confidence that your clients are gonna have.
Yeah.
It's getting insurance after the event. So it's not about the one incident. It's about what about the aftermath. So thank you, insurance. You just
Yes.
paid X number of dollars. But what about all my data? What about the trust? What about moving forward? What about my team? What about the downtime? What about the loss of revenues? There's a multitude of things that you have to make
100%.
sure.
And you know what, Andrew, I have that actually because I'm going to talk about the cost of a data breach report 2023 just came out from IBM Security. I'll talk about that probably in the next few minutes because we're going to tackle these. What can you do even if you have a small company or medium-sized company? What can you do that it should be fairly easy and make sometimes not very expensive to be able to get you into a secure state, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
we
no, great.
I mean, we're not promising that you're going to be 100% secure because, as SC Cyber Safe said, there's no such a thing, which I completely agree with.
Yeah.
But it's actually getting into the path of safety. So
I love what they just said too. One of the most ridiculous excuses. It's so true because it's a false sense of protection. But again, I'm not knocking insurance. Let me be very clear. It's very important to have it. Everybody should, but it should be only one piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. And you know what? I think this might be human nature. You know why? I gotta tell you because let's say you're crossing the street and you're a pedestrian. You're crossing the street, and a car is right like pulling into you, or it's you think it's gonna hit you and stuff like that. And people don't speed up. They won't run to the next to the or to cross the street.
Get out of the way.
They just slow down and they expect the car to stop.
Yeah.
You expect the car to stop because
I'm a human being and I'm okay, so you better stop.
And exactly, and I have the right that you are going to stop, but they don't think that this is like a 2,000-pound, 3,000-pound machine that can run you over and you can end up with serious injuries in the hospital, right? So it might be just human nature. Oh yeah, I'm taken care of because I have cybersecurity, and I cannot digress, right? I mean, this is
no, but it's true because it's like the cyber safe said, and what we're alluding to. I mean, unfortunately, you can't be naive anymore in this space. You can't be, it's not going to happen to me in this space. You can't be, oh, I'll deal with it when I deal with it, because a couple things happen there. And I know you're going to dive into this too, but if you're proactive, it's much more cost effective and the repercussions are a lot less. Yes. If you're reactive, the cost is astronomical potentially. Your loss of business, your loss of downtime, and the cost of implementing the aftermath is substantially more expensive too. So insurance, again, kudos. One step, one piece of the puzzle. Diego actually asked Dan, if you want to say, hey guys, what things are usually covered by cyber insurance?
Yes,
that's go ahead.
An amazing
great question. Yeah,
because not all cybersecurity insurances are the same. Just so you know, there's different coverage for cybersecurity insurance, and some of the things that are covered usually is business interruption, right? Like business interruption, like your systems are down. Then like there's things like data exfiltration insurance, litigation cost, media liability, regulatory fines, data breaches, and all of those things, network security liability. Like there's different types of cyber security insurance, and they usually bundle them up in these little packages, right? And then they sell them to the people, right? And or to the companies. But you have to always make sure that when you get insurance, you get coverage for ransomware, because most of the insurance packages out there don't cover you for, it's just like auto insurance or house insurance. Like house insurance, it covers fires and everything, but no water inundations or things like that. Same with auto insurance, you have basic liability and then you have premium liability, right? So it is the same with cyber insurance. Most don't cover ransomware. So make sure that extortion and ransomware are covered. Errors and omissions are covered. Usually those are covered. Like errors and omissions are if one of your customers sue you because something happened to you, right? So,
exactly. So a great question, Diego. But there's a multitude of things. The biggest thing to take away is when you are dealing with a cybersecurity organization that's offering you cybersecurity insurance, just make sure that you do your due diligence. You make sure you evaluate what you're buying and what you're covered on. Because one thing that's probably worse than anything is thinking you have insurance, something happens, and then that was left out of the policy or what have you. So be very clear when asking the questions.
Yeah.
Talk to your professional and really go through it with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that all of those things that Dan mentioned and your cybersecurity insurer will educate you
You
on it.
gotta ask the questions, right? So
Absolutely.
like they usually the things that are basic coverage will be data destruction, hacking, data extortion, data theft. But then you might also have to ask about the coverage for legal expenses, because they can get really expensive, right? Like if somebody takes you to court and then you don't have the coverage, then you're on your own paying all those expenses, right? So very important question, very good question, by the way. Kudos to you, man.
Absolutely, great question. Hey Dan, by the way, I was just curious, where did the
You get
cybersecurity?
an applause. You get an applause for that.
Oh, got the applause. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
beautiful. I just have a really important question though. Do you know where the cybersecurity team went?
Oh no. Oh no. Please, please, no, God.
They
Okay,
ran somewhere.
they ran somewhere.
I had to throw it in there. I had to throw it in there, everybody. A
Yeah,
little fun along the way.
they ran somewhere. That's awesome, man. That's great. That's a great joke. They're getting better, man. They're
All
getting
right,
better.
thanks.
Absolutely,
I've
man.
been practicing while we're going on the show here.
Okay, so those are the three excuses. Let me just repeat them. First of all, companies say, "Oh, we're too small to care about cybersecurity incidents or cybersecurity in general," or they're saying we're safe because we have an IT person working with us, right? So that's the next excuse. And then the last one is we have cyber insurance, so we are covered. Nothing is going to happen to us.
Yeah.
Okay, ridiculous. Anyways, so on that token, we're going to talk about this report. Okay, and this is pretty cool. They IBM Security, they always come out with a report. It's called the Cost of a Data Breach Report in 2023.
Yeah.
And
I think we did something like this last year, didn't we, Dan, with the numbers? This is the new numbers. This is great.
yeah, these are the new numbers. And some of the numbers that I want to point out, right? So the average data or the average total cost of a data breach is 4.45 million US dollars. One data breach. That's pretty massive, right? Like that's a big cost in there.
And you're probably out there, everybody's probably out there. Yeah, but what happens if the company's $1 million company? Yeah, but the problem is this is an average, right? So
yeah, these are average.
There's companies out there that are
Okay.
$1 billion companies.
Exactly. So they have, I don't know how many thousands of companies that they survey. So this is
Exactly.
the average. So it goes from really small companies to really large companies, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah. And the other thing that I wanted to show you here is actually, let me see if I can find it. One 277. Is it 200? Yeah. So the time to identify and contain a breach is 277 days. That is crazy. So that means that when a hacker exploits your system and is inside of your network, there is 277 or 204 to be able to identify that attack, and then 73 days to be able to contain it.
That's great. And you know what? I'm gonna throw a little plug in here for our MDR because all the tools, and we're talking about mitigating risk. We're talking about putting tools in place to make sure that you're again mitigating risk and not eliminate it completely. You ask about IT teams and you ask the difference between IT and security. So as an example, Rhino Cybersecurity is very proud to have an MDR, a managed detection and response solution. And what that does is it gives you those eyeballs. I call it like an air traffic controller, all of the information in and out of the network. And we're able to mitigate and identify anything that's in there that shouldn't be in there. And it takes it from 277 days down to like a 20-minute, I call it real time, but let's call it 20 minutes by the time we identify, isolate, identify and respond, etc. But a fantastic tool that companies should have, because you're right. I mean, imagine, Dan, 277 days in a network. What could a hacker do? How much could they pivot? Look at the control they could take over.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And I was going through the report, right? This cost of data breach report, and then I was looking at some articles about it that I found very interesting. So let me just give you a couple of things here. So and we're talking about cost, right? So as I said before, this is all about an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? Preventing fires before they even start. That's the thing. So this is the initial response. Initial response is $800 to $1,500 per day if something happens in a company, right? So let's say you get ransomware or data exfiltration or whatever happens to your company. It is about 1,000 days that you're going to be paying per day to be able to contain that. Now, take that into consideration. Just the part where it comes to initial response. Now, talking to the media, doing notifications, doing all the other stuff. The report says, here notifications is $370,000, about $370,000. The aftermath, this is on average the aftermath of a cybersecurity just on the notification side of things, right? In terms of lost business or loss of reputation, is $1.3 million in average, right?
Yeah,
One
that's
one point,
that's priceless. That's huge, right?
yeah.
Wow.
And then the recovery period. So you have communication, reparations, legal costs, regulatory fines, and all of that stuff. Regulatory fines is, like some of the companies, for example, British Airways is $20 million, 183. These are in pounds, right? These costs are crazy, are just crazy, just because you were negligent, right? So the whole moral of the story is don't do this. Make sure that you're cyber secure, you're covered, right? So you're going to spend a marginal amount of money on the preparedness and the defensive mechanisms before you get hacked, right?
100%. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, so that's kind of like the moral of the story. And now, how to go about this, right? So, I have a pretty good resource here that I found from the government of Canada itself. So, this is from the Canadian Center for Cybersecurity, and basically, it's a pretty good document, and it just came out on 2022. Um, and it talks about how technology is evolving and what you need to do. So it gives you an introduction, the main sources of attack. And I know like SC cybersafe, they are in the social engineering cyberspace. Make sure you go to their website. So I'm giving you a plug. SC cybersafe, go to their website and check out their services. Anyway, so in terms of phishing, you got to be careful with phishing, malware, insider threats, ransomware, credential stuffing, all of this stuff, right? So, but then what I actually want to point out is what are the things that you need to do.
Yeah.
And the first one is determine your cybersecurity posture. You need to know where you are standing first,
Yeah.
right? So this is kind of like going to the doctor and getting an overall check on yourself before anything. That's
Yeah.
the first thing that you got to do. And then the third one is very important. So they give you a risk assessment question, and these are very basic, right? And then they tell you about what are the basic cybersecurity best practices that you should do, right? Things like implementing strong user authentication, patching, backup, train your employees, and so on. And then they give you the advanced cybersecurity best practices. But the thing that I want you to be aware of is this one right here. Hold on. This one is really critical. Outsourcing your cybersecurity. Why? Why would it be critical? Andrew, tell me, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, why would you go to the doctor if you're sick? You're not gonna be self-diagnosed, right? I mean, you may grow a tail if you just think that you're doing wrong. The reality of it is why it's so important is you're going to be hiring a professional, or you're going to be getting professional advice. People that live, sleep, eat, and breathe this each and every day. They're not only understanding what has happened in the past, they understand what's happening in the present, and they're studying and preparing for the future, right? So they're always, in it full-heartedly. So by reaching out to an organization or a professional team, whether it be Rhino or any other organization out there that you guys feel comfortable with, it's important to get that expert advice and guidance. Whether you have IT and MSP support, obviously, whether you have insurance, obviously, all these things, definitely a cybersecurity expert or a team or an organization that can help you is going to give you that extra confidence. So I think it's so important, Dan. It would be my rationale behind it.
If you're if you have a like a clinic, you're in like a healthcare, or you're a manufacturing, you don't know about cybersecurity, right?
Exactly.
So you gotta get you do gotta do a little bit of outsourcing and let the experts do their job. That's kind of the key thing here, right? And then we have a question from Marlon Calle. He asked, in the event of a ransomware attack, what steps should someone take to mitigate the damage and recover their data? Oh, very, very good question.
It's a very good question, but a very convoluted one in the sense as in there's so many answers to that question. I don't
Yeah,
know, Dan, if you want to even touch the surface of it, but there's so many things you have to do, and it depends, Marlon, if you're have you been proactive? Are you reactive? Meaning that do you have all the right measures in place? Do you have the system? Do you have the response plan? Do you have the infrastructure? Do you
yes.
have the, all that stuff is one answer. And if you don't, it's a whole nother answer. So
Absolutely. So part of the outsourcing cybersecurity, if I go down, it talks about the internet service providers. It talks about the a consultant working with a consultant, right? And then the consultant is going to help you conduct a thorough risk assessment of their business, test their current security measures, and do a lot of really good stuff. Provide recommendations for technical advice, all of that. And then over here, I'm going to show you over here. Manage security service provider. So Rhino Cybersecurity does manage security services as well as part of their our MDR service, right? So one of the things that the managed service provider is going to do, and I want to point out here, it's creating an emergency incident response, and that's the key. So, in the event of a ransomware attack, what steps should you take? Whatever the emergency incident response plan says you have to do. So that's kind of like the lame in layman's term what you should do. Now, every emergency incident response is going to be different because it depends on your company. It depends on the data that you're securing. I mean, if you're online e-commerce, obviously your crown jewels are going to be your e-commerce website, your servers, but if you're a manufacturer, it's going to be your plant. It's going to be, whatever is sitting on the plant, all the machinery and all of the stuff. Same with like a medical office. What is it going to be? It's going to be the data, the healthcare data that you're containing or you're holding from patients. So it really depends on your type of business, your environment, your security measures that you have in place, your IT infrastructure. It depends on a lot of things. Some of the common things are okay, emergency response. How quickly can you act?
Yeah.
That's across the board. The faster you act, the better, right?
Yeah.
So backup systems, very important. If you get ransomware and you make sure that you're able to recover it from the backups, right? So even ransom negotiation should be discussed in the emergency incident response.
Definitely. Yeah.
Lawyers, like who would have thought, right? Like, okay, so what do I have to do? Well, you got to talk to lawyers. You have to have a contact, and you have to have kind of like the steps of what you're going to do to talk to the lawyer to be able to so they can take care of your legal stuff, right?
Exactly. Absolutely.
So it gives you kind of like and here's where I was talking about okay, having an IT person. Remember, one of the excuses, oh, we have an IT person, and that's called a managed service provider.
Right.
And it gives you the differences between a managed security service provider and a managed service provider, right? So so you can see here that the MSP or the IT people, they focus on IT operations like help desk, endpoint management, backup systems, and all of this stuff. Whereas the MSSP or somebody like Rhino Cybersecurity, they focus on IT security operations. And one of them is also the managed detection and response. We have a really great managed detection and response called Rhino Guard. Rhino Guard. And we are able to detect cyber attacks, depending on of course, the severity level, within 20 minutes. 20 minutes, and I've shown some of the demos that I do, and people are like, "Oh my god, that's really fast."
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a tool we're very proud of, and so are our clients. I mean, we've been blessed that our clients have really been well received, and we've helped several clients be protected from a breach that they didn't know that was there. I just want a special shout out. I promised I would. We have a very special little member in our audience watching. Her name is Daniela. She is actually part of our team. We see her every single morning, and I wanted to have a special shout out. So Daniela, I know you were sleeping, and now you're probably not. She's about 2 years old. Everybody,
because you woke her up.
We're teaching her cybersecurity safety. Welcome, Daniela, and I hope you're having a wonderful day, sweetie.
All right, Daniela. Shout out to you, little one. And okay, we open the forum for anybody that wants to ask questions. Guys, please, this is your time. Ask questions. You only have a few minutes left, 5 minutes left. So start asking your questions, all the questions, just put them in there and we're going to be able to answer them.
While
Right?
the questions are coming in, Dan, what kind of leak can't be fixed by a plumber?
Is this a cybersecurity? Listen, this is a children's. This is
I know
this is a
kind of
PG show,
leak.
so keep it
What
classy,
kind
please.
of leak can't be fixed by a plumber?
A data leak.
Ah, you got it. There you go. There you go.
There you go. It's working. It's
It's
working.
working. Nice.
Okay, yeah, data leak. Good job, man. Good job. Okay, first question. An e-commerce should take care about their credit card data of their clients, or isn't that stored into their service? So yes, if you're smart, if you're a smart e-commerce, you won't hold any credit card information from clients, because then you're going to have to be in compliance. There's something called PCI DSS compliance, right? So and that's very stringent, and this compliance is given by the main credit card companies. It's a consortium, right? Like Visa, Mastercard, American Express. They gathered together and they created the PCI DSS, which is for the credit card industry, right? And if you want to hold this type of data, you have to be PSI compliance, which means you have to go through the hurdles of making sure that all your systems are secure and attesting on those systems.
And
Right?
correct me if I'm wrong, Dan. There's only a handful of companies out there that can offer that type of service in regards to that PSI housing the information. Is that not correct, or am I wrong with that statement?
Yes. Hold on. We have a comment from Sonia Castillo. She says she's awake and she says hi.
That's good. We're happy about that.
Yes. Okay. So we have another comment from SC Cybersafety. He said definitely would check out RhinoGuard. Go to rhino.io and check out our RhinoGuard. I think you'll be very impressed. Yeah, and I also have a demo on our YouTube channel, Get Cyber, where you can. It's a 3-part demo on MDR as well. So yeah. So to answer your question, Andrew, there's a lot of services out there. It used to be PayPal back in the days, right? Like a few years ago. PayPal is kind of like falling out of popularity nowadays. PayPal, these are called payment gateways, right? Payment gateways where they take care of all the payment stuff for you. So the data doesn't transfer through your servers; it transfers through their servers.
Right.
So there's Stripe, for example, money bookers. There's a whole bunch of other services that are payment gateways that you can use as a developer when you're developing your e-commerce, so you don't see that information.
Right.
And if it's out of your hands, then it's out of your risk. Basically, it's out of your control.
Right.
So then you don't have to worry about it. So that's a really good question. Diego asked that question. Thank you for that question. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else before we go into kind of like the final part? I don't think I don't see any questions. Oh, I have one question here. Let me see. In the event of, okay, we already answered this question. That's because this is like people ask questions as they go and then we answer them,
which is wonderful.
So
I love it.
It's amazing. So thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. It's been a wonderful show, and it's already 12:58. Wow.
Yeah, it goes quickly. You know what? I love it. And you know what, guys? And just as we've all talked about, SC CyberSafe, thanks so much for participating in the interaction, and everybody else as well. But one of the things you said, and I kind of reiterated on as well, is again, and Dan also talked about it, is being preventative, being educated, being proactive is critical to the success of your, cybersecurity hygiene, your infrastructure. Teach your employees, get cybersecurity awareness training. Work with a professional IT team, a professional cybersecurity team that enhances your IT or your MSP. And I think, by doing that, and to Dan's point, being proactive is going to be much more, you'll be much more protected, and it'll be a much more cost-effective solution for you moving forward.
Absolutely.
It's been
So,
wonderful, Phil.
a few last words, guys. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Get Cyber. So, YouTube add Get Cyber. Make sure you visit our website, Rhino Cybersecurity, for all your cybersecurity needs, and subscribe to Purple Talk. We haven't talked about Purple Talk.
Yeah, great. Actually, you know what? That's a great. You should make me mention that because we send out emails every single, not emails, but letters and everything every Friday, which we have thousands of people on that, which is fantastic. So I don't know, maybe throw that out there too, Dan.
Yeah, so Purple Talk. So there's two components to Purple Talk. The first one is you go to LinkedIn and you can sign up for Purple Talk on LinkedIn. It is a newsletter, so we have a few thousands of people in there. But also you can go to our website and then you can sign up for the
Right.
Friday edition of Purple Talk, which it will be right on your inbox at 10 a.m. every Friday. Our marketing team does an incredible job to summarize all the vulnerabilities that are out there, the things that you'll be looking for and watching your company for. You'll get it right on your email inbox. So make sure you sign up for Purple Talk. And thank you so much. And I'll see you. We're doing this show every 15 days, so I'll see you in the next 15 days with another show on Fridays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, right there you go.
Everybody.
Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you joining in. Hope you got a lot out of it. I know we did, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.